The stars had been silent for 200 years. Humanity sent signals into the void, radio waves, and light pulses carrying messages of peace and curiosity. Nothing came back. The silence was so complete that many believed they were alone. Others believed something worse. They believed the silence was a warning. Admiral Park Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the United Earth Defense flagship Resolute. He was a tall man with gray hair, cut short, and eyes that had seen too many battles. His uniform was simple, dark blue with silver rank pins. No medals on display. He didn't need them. Everyone knew who he was. The bridge was quiet. Officers worked at their stations, monitoring the usual traffic around Earth. Cargo ships moving between orbital stations. Mining vessels heading to the asteroid belt. Everything normal. Everything peaceful. Then, the alarm sounded. Lieutenant Yoon Tae-ho looked up from his tactical display. He was young, barely 30, but he had earned his place on the Resolute through skill and hard work. His hands moved quickly across the console, pulling up data. "Sir," he said, his voice tight. "We have an unknown contact at the edge of the solar system. It just appeared. No approach detected." Admiral Park walked to the main screen. "Show me." The image appeared. A ship unlike anything humanity had ever built. It was long and curved, shaped like a teardrop made of crystal. Light moved through its hull in waves of blue and purple. It was beautiful. It was also massive, at least 3 times larger than the Resolute. "It's not one of ours," Captain Lee Soo-jin said. She stood beside the admiral, her arms crossed. She was his second in command, a woman known for her sharp mind and sharper tongue. "That's not human design." No," Admiral Park agreed. "It's not." The bridge fell silent. Every officer understood what they were seeing. First contact. After 2 centuries of silence, something had finally answered. The alien ship moved slowly into the solar system. It made no aggressive moves. It simply drifted forward, as if it had all the time in the universe. Then, the communication came. The message appeared on every screen on Earth. Every phone, every computer, every display, in every city. A face appeared, and it was almost human, but not quite. The skin was pale silver. The eyes were large and dark, without whites. The features were delicate, almost elegant. "People of Earth," the alien said. Its voice was smooth and calm. "I am Ambassador Korin of the Valari Collective. We have watched your species for many years. We have seen your struggles, your wars, your small steps into space. We come to you now with an offer of peace and guidance." The message continued. Korin explained that the Valari Collective controlled a vast territory across the galaxy. Hundreds of star systems, thousands of planets. They had brought order to countless species, lifting them from barbarism to civilization. "You are young," Korin said. "You are primitive by our standards. But you have potential. We offer you a place in our collective. Protection. Knowledge. A future among the stars." The message ended. Earth erupted. News networks played the message on repeat. Experts debated what it meant. Some called it the greatest moment in human history. Others called it a threat dressed in pretty words. Social media exploded with fear and hope and everything in between. Admiral Park watched none of it. He stood in his quarters aboard the Resolute, looking out the window at the stars. Captain Lee entered without knocking. She had that right. "The president wants to respond," she said. "The whole world wants to respond. Everyone is excited." "Excited," Park repeated. He didn't turn from the window. "A stranger comes to your door. He tells you he's stronger than you. He tells you he can protect you. He tells you that you need him." He finally looked at her. "Does that sound like a friend to you?" Lee was quiet for a moment. "No, sir. It sounds like a conqueror." "Yes, it does." The next day, Ambassador Corin made another broadcast. This time, he invited Earth's leaders to witness a demonstration. He wanted to show humanity the power of the Valari Collective. He wanted them to understand what they were being offered. "We will show you wonders," Corin promised. "We will show you what your species can achieve. Under our guidance." Earth's leaders agreed to the meeting. They had no choice. Refusing would look like fear, and fear would make them weak. So, they prepared a delegation. Diplomats, scientists, military observers. Admiral Park was ordered to attend as well. The president wanted the Valari to see that humanity had military strength, even if it was small compared to theirs. Park accepted the order without complaint. He had his own reasons for wanting to see the Valari up close. Before he left, he gave a single command to Fleet Admiral Kang Unji. She was an old soldier, even older than Park, with white hair and a face like carved stone. She commanded the reserve forces, the ships that stayed hidden, the ones the public didn't know about. "Keep them dark," Park told her. "No matter what happens, keep them dark until I give the word." Kang nodded. "And if you don't give the word, then use your judgment." The delegation traveled to the meeting point near Jupiter. The gas giant hung in space like a giant eye, watching. The Valari ship waited for them, glowing with that strange inner light. Admiral Park stood at the window of the transport ship. Lieutenant Yoon stood beside him. "Sir," Yoon said quietly, "are we really going to just watch? Let them show off?" Park almost smiled. "Almost. Yes, Lieutenant. We're going to watch. We're going to listen. We're going to learn everything we can about them. And then we'll show them something too." The transport docked with the Valari vessel. The airlock opened, and Ambassador Corin stood waiting for them. Up close, he was even more alien. His movements were too smooth, too graceful. His smile never reached his dark eyes. "Welcome," Corin said. "Welcome to the future." He led them through corridors of crystal and light. Everything was beautiful. Everything was perfect. And everything felt wrong to Admiral Park. It felt like a trap, made pretty. They reached a viewing chamber with a massive window, looking out at space. Other Valari stood there, tall and silver-skinned, watching the humans with curiosity. Like scientists, studying animals. "Now," Corin said, "let us show you what the collective can do." He gestured to the window. In the distance, a small moon orbited Jupiter. It was barren rock, nothing special. "Watch," Corin said. A beam of light shot from the Valari ship. It was bright blue, almost white at the center. It struck the moon, and the moon simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. It was there, and then it was gone. Turned to atoms in an instant. The human delegation gasped. Some stepped back. One diplomat fell to his knees. 41. NE9. Admiral Park didn't move. He watched the empty space where the moon had been. Then, he looked at Corin. "Impressive," he said. Corin's smile widened. "We can offer you this power, or we can use it against you. The choice is yours." Park nodded slowly. But what he understood was not what Corin thought. What Park understood was that the Valari were afraid. They were afraid of what they didn't know. And they didn't know anything about humanity. Not really. That was about to change. The destruction of the moon hung in everyone's mind like a weight. The human delegation stood in the Valari viewing chamber, still processing what they had seen. A celestial body erased in seconds. No warning, no effort. Just gone. Ambassador Corin let the silence stretch. He was enjoying it. His dark eyes moved across the human faces, reading their fear like a book. This was the moment he lived for. The moment when lesser species understood their place. "You see now," Corin said softly. "You understand what we offer, what we are. Admiral Park Do-hyun stood apart from the others. His face showed nothing, no fear, no awe, just calm observation, like he was watching a training exercise. This bothered Corin more than he wanted to admit. We have demonstrated this power to many species, Corin continued. Some accepted our offer immediately. Others needed more convincing. His smile was cold. The convincing was unpleasant for them. Corin, one of the human diplomats, stepped forward. His name was Minister Go Chanwoo, a politician who had never seen combat. His hands were shaking. What exactly are you offering? He asked. You speak of protection and guidance. What does that mean? Corin spread his hands wide. It means exactly what it sounds like. Your species joins the collective. You gain access to our technology, our knowledge, our trade networks. In return, you accept our leadership. You contribute to our society. You become part of something greater than yourselves. Contribute how? Admiral Park asked. Corin's eyes shifted to him. Resources, labor, military support when needed. Your planet has materials we find useful. Your species has numbers we can employ. So we become workers, Park said. Soldiers. For you, you become citizens of the collective. Protected citizens. Safe from the dangers of the galaxy. And if we refuse? The question hung in the air. No one else had dared to ask it. Corin's smile faded, slightly. No one refuses, he said. It would be unwise. Commander Bae Ji-yeon stood near the back of the human group. She was the intelligence officer, trained to watch and analyze. While everyone else stared at Corin, she studied the ship around them, the technology, the crew, the weapon that had destroyed the moon. She noticed something. The Valari weapon had taken time to charge. She had counted the seconds from activation to firing. Nearly 30 seconds. That was a long time. In battle. A very long time. She filed this information away and kept watching. Corin led the delegation on a tour of his ship. He showed them the medical bays where diseases could be cured in minutes. The food synthesizers that could create any meal from base molecules. The engines that bent space itself to travel between stars. Everything was advanced beyond human technology. Everything was beautiful and elegant and perfect. And everything came with the same message. You need us. You cannot survive without us. Minister Go was impressed. He whispered to his aides about the possibilities. Trade agreements. Technology sharing. Earth could leap forward centuries in just a few years. Admiral Park remained silent. He watched everything, but said nothing. They reached a hall filled with displays. Holograms floated in the air showing different species. Hundreds of them. Tall creatures and short ones. Beings of flesh and beings of crystal. All different. All labeled. The species of the collective, Corin announced proudly. Each one brought into our family. Each one given purpose and protection. Park studied the displays. He noticed something the others missed. Each species was labeled with their role. Agricultural, industrial, mining, service. Not one was labeled as leadership. Not one was labeled as military command. The Valari kept those roles for themselves. And those who refused? Park asked. Where are they? Corin's expression flickered for just a moment. They are not here. They made poor choices. They no longer exist. Ah, Park said. I see. That night, the human delegation returned to their transport ship. They were given quarters aboard the Valari vessel, but Park insisted on returning to human territory. He needed to think. He needed to plan. Captain Lee Soo-jin was waiting for him when he boarded. She had been monitoring communications from Earth. The whole planet was talking about the demonstration. The destroyed moon. The power of the Valari. Public opinion is shifting, she reported. Many people want to accept the offer. They're scared. Fear makes people stupid, Park said. Fear makes them give up freedom for safety. Can you blame them? They saw a moon disappear. Park sat down heavily. For the first time, he looked tired. I don't blame them. I understand them. But I will not let fear decide humanity's future. Ensign Choi Minho entered the room. He was the communications specialist, young and eager. Sir, we've intercepted something. Valari transmissions. Commander Bay helped me decrypt part of it. He handed Park a datapad. The Admiral read it slowly. His expression didn't change, but his grip on the pad tightened. What is it? Lee asked. Corin sent a message to his superiors. He's reporting on us. He says humans are primitive but numerous. Good for labor. Good for military fodder. Park set the pad down. He's already decided we're going to accept. He's already planning how to use us. Lee's jaw tightened. So, the choice was never real. No, it wasn't. The next day, Corin requested another meeting. He wanted Earth's answer. He wanted their submission. The human delegation gathered again in the Valari viewing chamber. Minister Go had prepared an acceptance speech. He believed it was the only way. He believed humanity had no choice. Admiral Park had other plans. Before we give our answer, Park said, we would like to offer something in return. A cultural exchange. We would like to show you something from our world. Corin raised an eyebrow. He was amused. A cultural exchange? How charming. What did you have in mind? Your music? Your art? Something like that, Park said. Something that represents who we are as a species. What we value. What we've built. Corin considered this. He saw no harm in it. In fact, he found it entertaining. Let the humans show their primitive culture before they surrendered it. Very well, Corin agreed. Show us your heritage, Park nodded. It will require a trip to our moon. There's a facility there we'd like you to see. Your moon? Corin laughed softly. You have facilities on your moon? How quaint. Very well, Admiral. We will indulge this request. And then, you will give us your answer. Yes, Park said. Then you'll have your answer. He turned and walked away. Minister Go grabbed his arm. What are you doing? The minister hissed. We have nothing to show them. Nothing that will impress them. You'll just embarrass us. Park looked at him with those calm, cold eyes. Minister, you need to trust me. Can you do that? Go hesitated. He was a politician. Trust did not come easily. Do you have a plan? He asked. I have more than a plan, Park said. I have a fleet. He walked away before Go could respond. He found Commander Bay and Lieutenant Yoon waiting for him in the corridor. Is it time? Yoon asked. Almost. Signal Fleet Admiral Kang. Tell her to move the ships into position. And tell her to turn on the lights. Bay smiled slightly. The Valari won't know what hit them. No, Park agreed. They won't. The pieces were moving now. The game was about to change. For 200 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. They had sent signals into the void and received only silence. So, they had prepared for the worst. They had built in secret. They had trained in shadow. And now, finally, they would show the galaxy what humanity really was. Not workers. Not soldiers for someone else's army. Not citizens of any collective. They were humanity. And they bowed to no one. The journey to the moon took 3 hours. Ambassador Corin spent the time in comfortable boredom. He had seen 1,000 primitive worlds, 1,000 primitive species. They all thought they were special. They all learned otherwise. He sat in the human transport ship and found it cramped and ugly. Metal walls. Harsh lighting. No elegance at all. These humans built things like they were preparing for war, not for living. Corin found it sad. Admiral Park sat across from him. The human hadn't spoken since they left Earth orbit. He just sat there, still and quiet, like a statue. Corin found this behavior strange. Most species talked nervously before their surrender. They made excuses. They asked for reassurances. Park did none of this. He simply waited. "You are an unusual human," Corin said finally. "You don't seem afraid." Park looked at him. "Should I be? Most species are, at this point. They understand what's coming. They understand their place." "And what place is that?" Corin smiled. "Beneath us. Where you belong." Quote. Park nodded slowly. He didn't argue. He didn't get angry. He just nodded like Corin had said something obvious. Then, he looked out the window at the approaching moon. "We're almost there." The transport descended toward the dark side of the moon. This was the side that always faced away from Earth. The side that humans rarely visited. There was nothing there. Just dust, and craters, and silence. Or so Corin believed. Captain Lee Sujin guided the ship toward a specific set of coordinates. She had received them from Fleet Admiral Kang just an hour ago. The old woman had simply said, "Bring them to the front door. We'll handle the rest." The transport landed on a flat plain surrounded by low hills. Corin looked out at the emptiness and frowned. "This is what you wanted to show me?" he asked. "Rocks?" "Not quite," Park said. "Please, follow me." They exited the transport. The humans wore simple pressure suits. Bulky and functional. Corin wore a personal shield that shimmered around him like a second skin. Valari technology. Far superior. They walked across the lunar surface. Corin's patience was running thin. This was a waste of time. These humans had nothing to show. They were stalling because they were afraid to surrender. Then Park stopped. He turned to face the largest hill in front of them. "Watch," he said. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, lights began to appear. Small at first, like stars waking up. They spread across the hill, then beyond it. More and more lights, hundreds of them, thousands of them, stretching across the lunar horizon. Corin's frown deepened. "What is this?" The hill began to move. No, not the hill. Something inside the hill. Something massive. The lunar dust fell away, like water, revealing metal. Underneath, dark gray metal, thick and armored, covered in weapons and sensors and engines. A ship emerged from the moon itself. But ship was the wrong word. This was something else entirely. This was a monster, 15 kilometers long. Angular and brutal, with none of the elegance of Valari design. It looked like it had been built for one purpose only: destruction. The hull was scarred and pitted, not from damage but from testing. They had tested the weapons on this thing until the metal itself was marked. The humans called it the Iron Wake. It was their dreadnought, their answer to the silence of the stars. Corin stood frozen. His translator glitched, unable to find a Valari word for what he was seeing. The collective had no dreadnoughts. They had never needed them. Their elegant weapons had always been enough. But this was not elegant. This was brutal, and ugly, and terrifying. And it was not alone. More ships emerged from hidden bases across the moon. Carriers the size of cities. Destroyers bristling with railguns. Siege platforms carrying nuclear weapons. Dozens of ships, then hundreds. Filling the sky above the lunar surface, Chief Engineer Huang Seungho's voice came through Park's communicator. Huang was an old man now, but he had designed these ships when he was young. He had spent his whole life preparing for this moment. "Admiral," Huang said, "the fleet is in position. All systems operational. We are ready." Park allowed himself a small smile. "Thank you, Chief. Your work is appreciated." Fleet Admiral Kang Yunji appeared on a display screen. Her old face was hard as iron, but her eyes were bright. "Admiral Park," she said formally, "the United Earth Defense Fleet awaits your orders." Corin finally found his voice. It came out as a whisper. "How?" he asked. "How is this possible?" We watched your planet. We saw your technology. You had nothing like this. He take two Trime. We had nothing like this. Park turned to face him. For the first time, the Admiral's eyes showed something other than calm. They showed pride. You watched our public ships, Park said. You saw what we wanted you to see. The cargo haulers. The mining vessels. The exploration craft. You saw the face we show the universe. He gestured at the fleet filling the sky. This is what we keep hidden. This is what we build when we're afraid. And we have been afraid for a very long time. Corin shook his head. This makes no sense. Your species is young. You've only had space travel for 2 centuries. How could you build all this? Because we had to, Park said simply. We sent messages into the void for 200 years. Nothing answered. Do you know what that silence told us? No, Corin didn't respond. It told us that space is dangerous, Park continued. It told us that whatever was out there was either dead or hiding. So we prepared for the worst. We built ships that could fight anything. We trained soldiers who could face any enemy. We did this in secret, where no one could see, because we knew that when the silence finally ended, we would need to be ready. He stepped closer to Corin. You came here expecting to find primitives, workers for your factories, soldiers for your wars. Instead, you found us, humanity, and we do not kneel. Corin's composure cracked. His silver face showed something it had never shown before. Fear. Your weapons are crude, he said, but his voice wavered. Your technology is inferior. You cannot match the collective. Perhaps, Park agreed. But, tell me, Ambassador, how many ships did you bring? Corin didn't answer. 1, Park said. You brought 1 ship, because you thought that was all you needed. You thought we would see your power and surrender. He shook his head. You were wrong. Kang's voice came through again. Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from the Valari vessel. They're calling for reinforcements. End quote. Park nodded. He had expected this. Let them call, he said. We have more to show them. He turned back to Corin. The ambassador's hands were shaking now. His perfect confidence was gone. You think this is all we have? Park asked. You think these ships are our entire fleet? Corin's dark eyes went wide. This is just the lunar garrison, Park said. Just the ships we keep close to home. Do you want to see the rest? He didn't wait for an answer. He gave the signal, and the display screens lit up with new images. Ships appearing throughout the solar system. In the asteroid belt. Around Mars. In the deep stations beyond Neptune. More ships than Corin could count. More ships than he had ever seen in one place. We call it the Deep Fleet, Park said. 347 capital ships. Over 2,000 support vessels. Enough firepower to crack a planet. He leaned in close to Corin. We hoped we would never need it. We hoped that when we finally met other life, it would be friendly. We hoped for peace. His voice went cold. But we prepared for war. Because hope is not a strategy. Hope does not stop enemies. Only strength stops enemies. Corin stumbled backward. He looked up at the fleet, then back at Park. His translator was still glitching. Still searching for words. What do you want? He finally asked. Park straightened. His voice was formal now. Official. I want you to understand something, Ambassador. Humanity is not a resource. We are not workers for your factories or soldiers for your armies. We are a sovereign species, and we will remain sovereign. If you want peace with us, you will treat us as equals. If you want war, he paused. If you want war, we will give you one, and you will not enjoy it. The lunar wind was silent. The fleet hung overhead like a judgment, and Ambassador Corin, for the first time in his long life, had nothing to say. Ambassador Corin returned to his ship in silence. His silver face showed nothing now, carefully blank, but his hands still trembled slightly. He had called for reinforcements. That was good. That was proper. The humans had surprised him, but the collective would not be surprised again. 40 Valari warships were coming. They would arrive within hours. Then the humans would learn the truth. Their ugly metal ships were impressive. Yes, but impressive was not the same as powerful. The collective had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They would not be threatened by these primitives. Corin kept telling himself this. He almost believed it. On the Resolute, Admiral Park watched the approaching Valari fleet on the tactical display. 40 ships, each one elegant and deadly, glowing with that strange inner light. They moved in perfect formation, like a dance. They're fast, Lieutenant Yoon reported from his station. Faster than our ships. They'll be in weapon range in 3 hours. Park nodded. Expected. Their engines are more advanced. We knew that. Sir, with respect, Yoon said carefully. We're outnumbered in this area. Our main fleet is scattered across the system. If they attack now, they won't attack now, Captain Lee said. She stood beside Park, studying the display. Corin is arrogant, but he's not stupid. He saw our fleet. He's not sure he can win anymore. He'll try to negotiate first. Will we negotiate? Yoon asked. Park didn't answer immediately. He turned to Commander Bae Jiyeon, who was working at the intelligence station. What do we have on their communications? He asked. Bae pulled up the data. They're talking a lot, sir. Corin to his ships. His ships to the collective homeworld. Everyone is very concerned about our fleet. They didn't expect it. Their whole strategy was based on us being weak. And now? Now they're unsure. Some of the captains want to attack immediately, before we can concentrate our forces. Others want to retreat and return with a larger fleet. Corin is pushing for a middle ground. He wants to intimidate us into surrender without actually fighting. Park smiled slightly. Good. Uncertainty is our ally. Analyst Oh Yuna looked up from her station. She was young, barely 25, but she was the best codebreaker in the fleet. Sir, I've got something else. Corin sent a private message to the lead ship. I managed to decrypt most of it. She put it on the screen. The message was in Velari script, but the translation appeared below. These humans are more dangerous than we thought. Their weapons are primitive, but numerous. Recommend caution. If they refuse our terms, destroy their homeworld immediately. Leave nothing. The bridge went silent. Every officer read the message. Every officer understood. Every officer, destroy Earth. Lee said quietly. That was always the plan. If we didn't surrender, they were going to kill us all. Yes, Park said, and they still might. He turned to face his crew. They looked back at him with hard eyes. Scared. Yes, but also angry. Also determined. This is what we prepared for, Park told them. This is why we built the fleet. Not for glory, not for conquest, for survival. These beings came to our home and threatened to destroy us. They smiled while they did it. They called it an offer. His voice went cold. We are going to refuse their offer, and then we are going to make them regret ever coming here. The communication request came an hour later. Corin's face appeared on the screen, once again composed and elegant. He had recovered his confidence. 40 warships will do that. Admiral Park, he said smoothly. I hope we can speak reasonably now. Your demonstration was impressive, but surely you understand the situation. Your fleet is scattered. My forces are concentrated. And more are coming. Many more. Park stood in the center of the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. I understand the situation perfectly, Ambassador. Then you understand that resistance is foolish. You have shown strength, yes. We acknowledge this. The collective is willing to modify its terms. You will be given a higher status than originally planned. A partnership. Perhaps. Instead of simple membership. Partnership, Park repeated. Under your leadership. Of course, we have 10,000 years of experience. You have 200. Park was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. Ambassador, I'm going to explain something to you. Humans have a concept called dignity. It means that every being has worth. Every being deserves respect. Not because of what they can do. Not because of how strong they are. But simply because they exist. Corin frowned. I don't understand. No, Park said. He took a step closer to the screen. You came here and threatened us. You showed us your weapon and destroyed a moon to frighten us. You offered us slavery and called it protection. You smiled and talked about peace while planning to murder our entire planet if we refused. Corin started to speak, but Park continued. We have a word for beings like you, Ambassador. We call them tyrants. And we have another tradition when dealing with tyrants. We don't negotiate with them. We don't bargain with them. We defeat them. Corin's composure finally cracked. Anger flashed in his dark eyes. You arrogant creature, he hissed. You think your crude ships can match our power? We have conquered empires. We have destroyed civilizations. You are nothing. Perhaps, Park said. But we are nothing that will fight. Can you say the same about all your conquered species? All those workers and soldiers you've collected? When did they last fight for anything? He smiled coldly. You've forgotten what it means to fight, Ambassador. You've been the strongest for so long that you don't remember what struggle feels like. We never forgot. We've been fighting since we crawled out of the mud. Fighting the land. Fighting the sea. Fighting each other. Fighting is what we do. He straightened. So here is our counteroffer. Full partnership. Not under your leadership. Equal terms. Mutual defense. Technology sharing. You treat us as equals, or you get nothing. Corin laughed. It was an ugly sound. You are in no position to demand anything. Look at the sky, Admiral. Count my ships. I've counted them, Park said. Have you counted mine? On cue. The deep fleet began to move. From their positions throughout the solar system, 300 warships changed course. They converged on Earth space. They came from the asteroid belt, from Mars, from the outer stations. They filled the tactical displays like a storm. The Resolute's bridge crew watched the Valari screens. They saw the alien officers react. Surprise. Fear. Disbelief. You see, Park said. I told you we had more to show you. Did you think I was lying? Corin's face went pale. This is not possible. You cannot have this many ships. Your planet doesn't have the resources. Our planet doesn't. But the solar system does. We've been mining the asteroids for 100 years. We've been building in secret for just as long. Every ship you see was built out here, where no one was watching. He leaned in. You wanted to know what humanity is, Ambassador? This is what we are. We are the species that prepares for the worst. We are the species that doesn't trust the dark. We are the species that built 300 warships because we were afraid of what might be out there. He gestured at the screen. And we were right to be afraid. Because you're exactly what we expected. You're bullies. You're tyrants. And now, you're surrounded. Corin stared at the display. His fleet of 40 ships was now surrounded by hundreds of human vessels. They were still more advanced, still more elegant, but they were vastly outnumbered. What do you want? He asked finally. I told you what we want, Park said. Equal partnership, mutual respect, or we can start shooting and see what happens. Your choice. The communication cut off. Corin needed time to think. On the bridge, Captain Lee allowed herself a small smile. That was well done, sir. Park didn't smile back. It's not over yet. He's going to try something. People like him always do. He was right. An hour later, the Valari fleet began to move. Not toward Earth, toward the sun. What are they doing? Yoon asked. Bei checked her readings. They're charging their main weapons. All of them. If they fire at full power into the sun. She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Park's face went hard. They'd rather destroy everything than lose, he said. Sound battle stations. All ships. Prepare to engage. The final confrontation was about to begin. The human fleet moved like a machine. 300 ships adjusted their positions, forming a massive sphere around the Valari forces. Railguns powered up, missile bays opened. Nuclear weapons armed. Every ship was ready to fire on Admiral Park's command. The Valari fleet continued toward the sun. Their weapons were still charging, still building toward that terrible blast. Corrin had made his choice. If he couldn't have humanity as servants, he would destroy them entirely. He would burn their star and watch their world die. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the tactical display. His face was calm, but his mind was racing. This was the moment he had prepared for his entire life. This was why he had built the fleet. Why he had trained his crews, until they could fight in their sleep. But he had hoped it wouldn't come to this. He had hoped the show of force would be enough. Time to weapon discharge? He asked. Lieutenant Yoon checked his readings. 12 minutes, sir. Maybe less. Lux Fellows. Our Finland. 2000. And if they fire, the sun won't be destroyed. But the blast will cause massive solar flares. Radiation will hit Earth within hours. Billions will die. Billions. 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 Park nodded. He had known this. He had studied Valari weapons since the first contact. He understood their power. And their limitations. Fleet Admiral Kang, he said into the comm. Move the Vanguard into attack position. Target their weapon systems. We need to stop them from firing. Kang's voice came back immediately. Understood, Admiral. Moving now. The human vanguard surged forward. 50 of the largest warships, led by Kang herself in the dreadnought Iron Wake. They closed the distance to the Valari fleet rapidly. The Valari ships responded. Their defensive weapons came online, firing beams of blue light at the approaching humans. 2 human destroyers were hit. Their shields flared and failed. They broke apart in silence, metal twisting and burning. Return fire, Park ordered. The human fleet opened up. Railguns hurled massive projectiles at incredible speed. Missiles streaked through space, their nuclear warheads glowing. The elegant Valari ships were suddenly surrounded by fire, and they started to die. Human weapons were crude. Park had admitted that himself. They were not elegant. They did not glow with inner light. But they were powerful. They were brutal. And there were a lot of them. A Valari cruiser took a railgun round directly to its engine section. The round punched through the crystal hull like it was paper. The ship broke in half, its inner light flickering and dying. Another Valari ship tried to evade a missile swarm. It was fast. Faster than any human ship. But there were too many missiles. They overwhelmed its defenses and detonated against its hull. The ship vanished in a ball of fire. The battle spread across the space between Earth and the sun. Ships twisted and burned. Weapons fired in all directions. It was chaos. Beautiful and terrible. On the Valari flagship, Ambassador Corrin watched the destruction in disbelief. His ships were dying. His elegant, perfect ships were being torn apart by these primitives and their ugly weapons. How? He whispered. How is this possible? His tactical officer answered grimly. Their weapons are slower than ours, Ambassador. But they fire continuously. They don't need to charge. And they have so many ships. We could be zotted X. Another explosion lit up the display. Another Valari cruiser gone. Corin's hands gripped his command chair. He had never lost a battle. The collective had never lost a battle. This was not supposed to happen. Continue the weapon charge, he ordered. We will destroy their sun. We will destroy them all. Ambassador, his officer said carefully. If we continue toward the sun, we will be destroyed. The human fleet is too large. We cannot. I said continue. The Valari flagship pressed forward. Its main weapon was almost fully charged. Just a few more minutes. Admiral Park saw what was happening. He saw the flagship pushing through the battle, ignoring everything else. Corin was willing to sacrifice his entire fleet to destroy humanity. He was that proud. He was that cruel. All ships, Park ordered. Focus fire on the flagship. Stop that weapon. The human fleet responded. Hundreds of ships turned their guns toward Corin's vessel. The elegant crystal ship was suddenly the target of everything humanity could throw at it. And still it came forward. Its shields absorbed hit after hit. Its hull cracked and burned. But it kept coming. Corin would not stop. He would never stop. Then something unexpected happened. One of the Valari escort ships broke formation. Its weapons powered down. It moved away from the flagship, away from the battle. Then another ship did the same. Then a dozen more. Park watched in surprise as the Valari fleet began to fall apart. Ships were abandoning their ambassador. They were refusing to die for his pride. Admiral, Commander Bay reported. We're receiving transmissions from the Valari ships. They're broadcasting surrender signals. They want to stop fighting. Park allowed himself a breath. And the flagship? Still charging its weapon. Corin won't surrender. Then we stop him ourselves. He opened a channel to the Iron Wake. Fleet Admiral Kang. Take out that weapon. Kang's response was simple. With pleasure. The dreadnought Iron Wake was the largest human ship ever built. 15 kilometers of armor and guns, built to fight anything. It surged toward the Valari flagship like a charging beast. Corin's ship fired everything it had. Beams of light struck the dreadnought's hull. Sections burned and melted. But the Iron Wake kept coming. At close range, Kang fired every weapon at once. Railguns, missiles, energy weapons. All of it directed at the flagship's main weapon system. The crystal hull shattered. The inner light exploded outward. The weapon that would have burned Earth's sun was torn apart, scattered into space as glowing debris. The Valari flagship drifted, dead and dark. The battle was over. In the silence that followed, the remaining Valari ships completed their surrender. They powered down their weapons and waited for human instructions. They had lost. They knew it. Ambassador Corin was brought to the Resolute in restraints. His silver face was burned from the explosions on his ship. His elegant clothes were torn. He looked at Admiral Park with pure hatred. You have made a terrible mistake, he said. The collective will send more ships. They will never stop. Park looked at him calmly. Maybe. Or maybe they'll learn from what happened here. Maybe they'll decide that humanity is not worth the trouble. He stepped closer to Corin. You came here to conquer us. You failed. You tried to destroy us. You failed. And now the entire galaxy knows what happened. They know that the mighty Valari collective sent a fleet to Earth and lost. He smiled slightly. What do you think the other species will think about that? All those worlds you've conquered. All those people you've enslaved. What do you think they'll do when they learn that humans fought back and won? Corin's eyes widened. He understood. This battle wasn't just about Earth. It was a signal. A message to every oppressed species in the galaxy. The tyrants can be beaten. The treaty was signed 1 week later. They called it the Soul Accords. Humanity would join the galactic community as an equal partner, not a subject. There would be no tribute, no servitude, no cultural absorption. Earth would govern itself and control its own military. In exchange, humanity agreed to mutual defense with former collective species. They would share technology. They would trade fairly. They would treat other beings with dignity. It wasn't perfect. There would be challenges ahead. Other Valari leaders might seek revenge. Other empires might see humanity as a threat. The galaxy was still dangerous, but humanity was no longer alone. And they were no longer afraid. Admiral Park attended the memorial service for the crews lost in the battle. 2,000 humans had died fighting for their world. Their names were read aloud, one by one, while the fleet hung in silence above Earth. Afterward, Fleet Admiral Kang found him standing alone at the observation window. "Heavy thoughts?" she asked. "Always," he said. "I keep wondering if I could have done it differently. If there was a way to avoid the battle." "There wasn't," Kang said firmly. "Corrin would never have accepted us as equals. He would rather die than admit we were his match." "I know. I just wish we hadn't had to prove it." He was quiet for a moment. Then, he looked up at the stars. "We spent 200 years listening to silence," he said. "We thought it meant we were alone. We thought it meant the universe was empty." Kang nodded. "And now? Now I think the silence was a warning. There are things out there that destroy anyone who speaks too loudly. The Valari were one of those things. Maybe there are others." He straightened. "But we're ready for them. We'll keep building. Keep training. Keep watching the dark. And if something else comes," he smiled, "we'll be ready for that too." Kang smiled back. "Humanity forever." Park nodded. "Humanity forever." Above them, the stars burned on. Endless and ancient. Full of wonders and dangers. Humanity had taken its first step into that vastness. They had fought and bled and won their place, and they would never give it up.